Far away from Earth, in the deep black space where light moved slow and silence ruled everything, an old human fleet floated between dying stars. They had been waiting for something for a very long time. The ships were covered with dust of frozen time, their metal bodies scarred from old wars, their lights dim like tired eyes that refused to close. No one knew why the fleet still waited. No one even remembered the last order they received. The only thing that remained alive in them was the command that said, "Wait for the signal. Do not move. Do not forget." Captain Aaron Voss sat in the command chair of the flagship Horizon Dawn. His uniform was clean but faded, his face calm but hard like a man made of duty. Around him, the crew worked in silence, following routines that had lost meaning centuries ago. Every day they checked systems, scanned the empty space, and hoped to see the signal they were told would come. It never came. The stars around them burned out one by one, but the fleet kept waiting. Humans were long gone from most parts of the galaxy, yet this forgotten fleet still followed an ancient order. A soft beep broke the silence. The scanner picked up something small on the edge of their long-range sensors. Ensign Lyra, the youngest officer on the bridge, looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, there's movement," she said. The crew turned to their stations. For years the sensors had shown nothing but dust and dead worlds. Now there was something new, something moving fast. "Identify," the captain said quietly. The computers tried to match the signal but failed. "Unknown origin," Lyra replied. The object was approaching them fast, and it was not broadcasting any code. The tension spread through the ship like electricity. Old fears came back to life. Many of them still remembered the stories about the Great Silence, the time when human colonies vanished after sending strange distress calls. Captain Voss stood up and walked to the front screen. The object grew larger. It looked like a small ship, old but not human-made. It had the shape of a spearhead and left a trail of blue light behind it. "Prepare weapons but do not fire," he ordered. The crew obeyed. For the first time in decades, their hearts beat fast. When the unknown ship reached close range, it stopped. It floated quietly before the Horizon Dawn, facing it like a ghost staring into a mirror. Then a transmission came through, a broken voice, mixed with static. "Fleet, are you still there?" The words made everyone freeze. The signal carried an old Earth frequency, one that had not been used for hundreds of years. "This is Captain Aaron Voss of the human fleet," he replied. "Identify yourself." Silence followed for a few seconds, then the voice returned. "We thought you were gone," it said. "We thought no one survived." The crew looked at each other in disbelief. The voice was human. But how could that be? Humanity had left this part of space long ago. Lyra whispered, "Captain, this can't be real." The voice spoke again, clearer now. "The war ended, Captain. You can return home." The words hit like a blade. The war. The same war they were told to wait out until the final signal came. Could this be the signal after all these years? Captain Voss stared at the screen, his thoughts heavy. "What proof do you have?" he asked. The voice paused, then said something that made the blood in everyone's veins run cold. "Because I am your descendant, Captain. I found your fleet through the archives. We came to bring you home." The bridge filled with whispers. Descendants. That meant centuries had truly passed. The young officer could not believe it. "Sir, it could be a trap," she said. The captain nodded slightly. "Yes, or it could be hope." The crew waited for his decision. He walked closer to the console and ordered the system to connect visual transmission. The screen flickered, and the face of a young man appeared, human, alive, wearing a uniform with the same fleet emblem but newer, brighter. "My name is Commander Elias Voss," he said. "You are my great ancestor. The fleet you commanded was lost in time. We came to find you." Everyone stood in silence. Some cried quietly, some prayed, some just stared. After all the waiting, after all the darkness, there was a voice from home. But deep in his heart, Captain Voss felt something wrong. The new ship's design was strange, almost too advanced, and the young man's eyes had a cold shine that didn't belong to any human he knew. The captain leaned forward and said softly, "If you are truly my blood, tell me one thing. What was the first command given to this fleet?" The man on the screen smiled. "To wait for the signal," he answered. And now, Captain, I am that signal. A chill ran through the entire bridge. The screens flickered again. The unknown ship began to move closer. Its blue light turned red. Lyra gasped. Captain, it's charging energy. The alarm screamed, and the captain stood tall. For the first time in centuries, the fleet that never stopped waiting prepared to fight once more. Red lights flashed across the bridge as alarms screamed through the corridors. The strange ship's glow deepened, its smooth surface shifting like liquid metal preparing for attack. Captain Aaron Voss stood firm, eyes locked on the screen. Shields up, he commanded. Energy fields that had slept for centuries came alive, humming like angry ghosts. The Horizon Dawn trembled as power surged through its systems. Weapons ready, Lyra said, her hands shaking slightly. Do not fire until I say, the captain replied. Outside the viewport, the unknown ship drifted closer, its red light cutting through the darkness. The strange vessel stopped again, only a few hundred meters away. The image of Commander Elias Voss still flickered on the main screen, smiling calmly. Captain, he said, please stand down. You've waited long enough. The war is over. You don't have to fight anymore. The captain stared at him without blinking. If the war is over, he said, why are you arming your ship? For a moment the young man said nothing. Then he leaned forward. Because we've learned what waiting does to people like you, he whispered. The signal cut out. The ship outside opened a glowing red circle at its front. It's charging a beam, Lyra cried. Evasive maneuvers. The fleet moved for the first time in ages. Old engines roared to life, pushing the massive ships away from their centuries-long formation. The first blast struck past the Horizon Dawn, missing by inches but shaking the hull with a wave of light. Return fire. Voss ordered. The ship's cannons responded with thunder. Bright blue beams cut through space, hitting the unknown craft. For a moment, its surface rippled but did not break. No damage, Lyra said. It's like the energy is being absorbed. The captain frowned. Keep firing. Let's see how much it can take. The fleet's firepower turned the darkness into a storm of light. Dozens of human ships joined the battle, their ancient weapons roaring with renewed strength. Yet the enemy ship kept advancing, its surface glowing brighter with every hit. Captain, the engineer reported, our energy levels are dropping fast. We can't keep this up. The captain turned toward the tactical screen. The unknown ship suddenly split open, revealing smaller drones shaped like shards of glass. They spread out, surrounding the fleet. What are those things? Lyra asked, her voice full of fear. Weapons, Voss said coldly, and they're testing us. The small drones began firing thin red beams that cut through shields like knives through paper. One by one, ships were hit and went dark. We're losing the Echo Wing, the comms officer shouted. The screen showed one of the smaller cruisers breaking apart, fire spilling into space. The captain clenched his fists. Focus fire on those drones. Protect the flagship. The crew obeyed, filling the void with counter-fire. Some drones exploded, others dodged with impossible speed. The old fleet was strong, but its technology was ancient compared to what they faced. In the middle of chaos, the voice returned on the radio. Stop fighting, Captain. You can't win against us. We are what humanity became. The captain's eyes hardened. If this is what humanity became, he said, then we waited for nothing. The voice laughed, mechanical and cold. You waited so long that time forgot you. We didn't come to save you. We came to finish what you started. Then the communication ended again. For a moment, the bridge fell silent except for the sound of battle. Lyra whispered, Sir, maybe it's true. Maybe we lost the war long ago. The captain shook his head. No. As long as one ship stands, humanity stands. Suddenly, the radar picked up a new signal, deep beneath the battlefield. Captain, something's coming from the planet below us, said the navigator. A sphere of light was rising from the dead world under their fleet, pulsing like a heartbeat. The enemy ship paused its attack and turned toward it. They're scanning it, Lyra said. The captain narrowed his eyes. Whatever that is, they don't want us to have it. He looked around the bridge. All ships, Protect that signal source. That's our new objective. The fleet shifted formation, creating a wall between the enemy and the rising sphere. As the sphere rose higher, its glow illuminated the battlefield. Within its light, ancient patterns of human symbols began to appear, the same ones used by the first generation of space travelers. Lyra gasped. "Captain, that's an old Terran beacon. It's transmitting a code." The captain turned to her. "Decode it." She worked fast, her fingers dancing across the console. After a moment she looked up, her face pale. "Sir, it's the original signal we were ordered to wait for." The words hung in the air like thunder. "Play it," the captain said. The speakers filled with a soft, broken voice. "To any surviving human fleets, do not return. The enemy has taken our home. Hide. Wait for the second signal." The bridge fell silent. The crew looked at each other, confusion and fear mixing in their eyes. "Second signal?" Lyra asked quietly. Before anyone could answer, the enemy ship unleashed another blast, this time aimed directly at the beacon. The sphere trembled but didn't break. Instead, it released a wave of blue energy that spread across space, disabling every drone in an instant. The enemy ship stopped moving. "What happened?" the engineer asked. "The beacon protected us," Lyra said softly. The captain stared at the glowing sphere. "No," he said slowly. "It just woke up something far bigger." In the distance, beyond the dying stars, another light appeared. It was faint, but growing fast, moving straight toward them. The captain could feel it, deep inside his chest. The true signal they were always meant to wait for had finally come. But whether it brought salvation or doom, no one could tell. The light kept growing brighter, spreading across the void like a sunrise after endless night. Every ship in the fleet could see it now, a wave of white-blue radiance moving toward them from the far edge of the system. On the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, Captain Aaron Voss watched the sensors fill with static. "Report," he ordered. Lyra shook her head. "Sir, it's off the charts. Whatever that is, it's not any kind of ship we know. It's massive and it's alive." The word hung heavy in the air. Alive. Outside, the enemy vessel that claimed to be human drifted silently, its red light now fading. Its systems seemed to shut down under the wave's influence. "The hostile ship is disabled," the engineer said. "Their drones are still offline too." The captain did not relax. He kept staring at the incoming light. It was moving faster now, and for a brief moment, the sensors caught a glimpse of its shape. It looked like a city made of light, a floating structure bigger than any world. Lyra's voice was small but steady. "Captain, it's transmitting on the same frequency as the first human fleets used during the Exodus era." The captain turned to her sharply. "The Exodus? That's impossible. Those ships were lost before even we left Earth." The communication system crackled to life. A deep voice echoed through every ship of the fleet. "This is Command Vessel Eden Prime. To all human signatures, identify yourselves." The crew stared in disbelief. The name Eden Prime was something out of history, a legend said to carry the first colonists from Earth before the Great Wars began. Captain Voss took a breath. "This is Captain Aaron Voss, commanding the fleet of the Horizon Dawn. We have been waiting for centuries for the signal. Who are you?" The voice replied, calm but powerful. "We are what remains of humanity's first fleet. We found the second signal. You were never meant to wait this long." Silence followed. The crew looked at one another. For the first time, hope began to rise inside their tired hearts. "Patch them through to visual," the captain ordered. The screen flickered, and a figure appeared, a woman with silver eyes and a uniform that glowed faintly. Her presence was calm, almost unreal. "Captain Voss," she said, "you and your fleet have done what no one else could. You endured. But the time of waiting is over. The second signal has awakened what sleeps beneath this system." The captain frowned. "What sleeps beneath?" She looked past him, as if staring through time itself. "The heart of the old war. The enemy you were meant to guard against has returned." As if her words had called it, the dead planet below began to shake. The glowing sphere near its surface pulsed faster, and cracks of red light spread across the planet's crust. "Sir, Seismic readings are going off the scale, Lyra said. Something's breaking out from under the surface. The captain turned toward the planet. Through the viewport, they could see pieces of rock and debris lifting into space. Then a massive shape emerged, a black, jagged structure the size of a moon. It unfolded like wings stretching for the first time in ages. "That's not a ship," the engineer whispered. "It's a fortress." The sensors screamed warnings. Energy signatures beyond measurement burst from the rising structure. The captain clenched his fists. "So this is what we were waiting for," he said. "Not the signal to return, but the signal to fight again." The woman on the screen nodded slowly. Yes. The war was never truly over. The enemy built machines to sleep beneath the stars, waiting for humanity to fall. You were the shield meant to awaken when they returned. The enemy ship that had attacked earlier began to move again. Its surface shimmered and twisted. Then the voice of the false commander Elias returned, colder and sharper. "You shouldn't have called them," he said. "The old ones will consume everything. Even you." His ship turned toward the black fortress as if drawn to it. Beams of red energy connected them, and suddenly the enemy ship dissolved into particles of light that fed into the awakening structure. "They're merging," Lyra said in shock. A deep hum filled space, so powerful it made every hull vibrate. The fortress opened its central core, revealing a burning eye of crimson light. "Captain," said the woman from Eden Prime, "that is an Omega core. A weapon built to erase entire systems. If it powers fully, this sector will be gone." The captain stood tall. "Then we stop it." She nodded. "Our fleets will combine. But you must reach the control nexus inside it. Only the original fleet's command codes can shut it down." Voss turned to his crew. "Prepare drop ships. We're going in." The crew moved without hesitation. Fear had no place anymore. They had waited too long to let this be the end. Outside, hundreds of smaller craft detached from the old human ships and began their descent toward the Black Fortress. The Eden Prime unleashed waves of energy, shielding them from the fortress's defenses. The sky burned with fire and light. As the captain's shuttle descended, he looked down at the monstrous structure beneath. It pulsed like a heart, alive and angry. "Sir," Lyra said beside him, "if we fail, what happens?" He looked at her and gave a faint smile. "Then at least we'll stop waiting." Their shuttle entered a tunnel glowing with red light, leading deep into the core. The closer they went, the more strange symbols appeared on the walls, patterns that seemed almost human but twisted by something else. Finally, the shuttle landed inside a vast chamber. At its center stood a tall pillar of dark metal, surrounded by flickering lights and the faint sound of whispers. "This is the Nexus," the engineer said. "It's still locking on the Omega core." The captain stepped forward, his hand brushing the console. The metal surface reacted, glowing with blue light, the same color as the human fleet's energy. "It recognizes you, sir," Lyra said quietly. The captain placed his hand fully on the console. "Then let's finish the command we were given," he said. The chamber shook violently. Outside, the fleets clashed against endless drones pouring out of the fortress. The Omega core's eye grew brighter, reaching its final stage. The captain entered the code passed down through generations of his fleet, the code of the first signal. The console pulsed once, then the entire fortress stopped moving. For a second, everything was silent. Then a new sound filled the chamber, a soft voice whispering in ancient human tongue. "Welcome home, Captain." The red light vanished. The fortress began to change color, turning silver and blue, like something awakening from a nightmare. Lyra looked around in awe. "Sir, it's not a weapon anymore." The captain's eyes softened. "No," he said. "It's a ship. The first ship. The one we were built from." Outside, the fleets watched as the Black Fortress transformed into a colossal silver vessel, shining brighter than any star. Humanity's past had just risen again. The silver light spread through the void like a storm of dawn. Every ship in the fleet watched in silence as the Black Fortress turned into something alive and beautiful. The structure no longer looked like a weapon but a massive vessel made of living metal. Its surface flowed like liquid glass, reflecting the dying stars around it. The Eden Prime stopped firing and began transmitting calm signals. "It's stabilizing," Lyra said, her eyes wide with wonder. Captain, the energy output is no longer hostile. It's synchronizing with our systems. Captain Aaron Voss stood in the middle of the control chamber, his hand still resting on the glowing console. It recognizes us as its own, he said softly. This ship was never meant to destroy. It was meant to preserve. The walls around them shimmered, forming patterns like human DNA made of light. The captain stepped back as a voice echoed through the chamber, a calm, ancient voice that sounded both human and machine. Fleet Horizon, you have completed your vigil. I am the Guardian Vessel Origin. You were never waiting for a war. You were waiting for me. The crew exchanged confused looks. Lyra asked carefully, Guardian Vessel? What does that mean? The voice answered, long ago, humanity fought against an enemy that could consume memories and rewrite history itself. To protect what we were, the first humans created me. My purpose was to hide the true record of human existence until the danger passed. You, Captain Aaron Voss, and your fleet were chosen as my sentinels. Your task was to wait for the time when memory could be restored. The captain frowned. Wait, he said, you're saying we were guarding humanity's history, not its borders. The voice replied, correct. Your mission was not defense, but remembrance. The war that erased worlds was not won with weapons. It was won by hiding the truth. Lyra's face was pale. But if we were meant to protect you, why didn't anyone tell us? Why wait so long? The voice grew softer. Because the enemy still moves among the stars, wearing human faces, whispering through machines. Time was needed for them to forget you. Only then could you awaken me safely. The captain's thoughts raced. The false commander, Elias Voss, his strange eyes, his words about what humanity had become. Now they made sense. The enemy hadn't vanished. It had changed shape, taken control of what remained of humankind. So the ones who attacked us, the captain said, they're not our descendants. No, the voice said, they are the shadow kind, the infection left by the enemy. They took your name and your legacy. They built the false fleets to lure me out. But your patience defeated them. Outside, the transformation of the colossal ship was complete. The surface stabilized, forming wings of light that stretched for miles. Energy fields flowed around it like auroras. The Origin began sending out low pulses, not signals of war, but music-like waves that spread across space. It's broadcasting, Lyra said. But not in any known language. The captain listened. The sound was strange yet familiar, like the echo of an old human song. It's memory, he said quietly. It's bringing back what was lost. All across the human fleet, dormant systems came alive. Files long forgotten reappeared, showing images of old Earth, cities, oceans, families, laughter. The crew watched with tears in their eyes as memories filled their screens. For the first time in hundreds of years, they saw home. We were never meant to be soldiers, Lyra whispered. We were meant to be keepers of the past. The captain nodded slowly. And maybe builders of the future. But their moment of peace was short. The sensors screamed again. A new fleet had entered the system, massive, dark, and countless. Ships of the shadow kind filled the sky like a swarm of nightmares. They are here, the engineer said, panic in his voice. Thousands of them. The voice of the Origin turned calm but sharp. They have found me. Captain Voss, this is the final phase. The memory must not fall into their hands. You must protect the core. The captain clenched his fists. What happens if they reach you? Then humanity's truth will be erased forever. The captain opened the communication link to all ships. His voice carried across the fleet like steel. This is Captain Voss. For centuries, we waited without knowing why. Now we know. We are the last guardians of what makes us human. Every ship, every pilot, every soul, hold the line. The fleet responded as one. Engines flared, shields lit up, and weapons charged. The human fleet, ancient but defiant, turned to face the oncoming storm. Outside, the dark swarm approached fast. Their ships were alive with red fire, moving like predators. The Eden Prime took position beside the Origin, forming a wall of light. They outnumber us 100 to 1, Lyra said. Numbers don't matter, the captain replied. "We've waited for this." The battle began with a roar that shook the heavens. Blue and red beams cut through the dark, exploding into waves of light. Ships collided, burning across the stars. The Origin began to rise higher, its energy shielding the fleet. As the battle raged, the voice of the Origin spoke again, only to the captain. "There is one more truth you must know, Aaron Voss. The order to wait did not come from your ancestors. It came from me." The captain froze. "You," he said. "Why?" "Because even the creators were not ready to remember. Only a fleet that could endure time without breaking could be trusted with the truth." The captain felt a chill run through him. "So you tested us," he whispered. "You made us wait." "Yes," said the voice, "and you proved worthy." Outside, explosions tore through the void. The Shadowkind's main carrier was approaching the Origin, its core burning red. "Sir," Lyra called, "they're breaking through our right flank." The captain took a deep breath. "Then we take the fight to them. Ready the Horizon Dawn. We're going straight for their leader." Lyra stared at him. "Sir, that's suicide." "Maybe," he said, "but we didn't come this far to watch others fight for us." The Horizon Dawn turned sharply, its engines blazing bright blue. It headed straight toward the enemy carrier. Behind it, the remaining human ships followed like arrows of light. The captain's voice echoed through every comm channel. "For those who waited, for those who believed, and for those who still remember, this is our time." The Origin watched them go, its voice whispering softly into the void. And thus, the fleet that never stopped waiting becomes the fleet that finally acts. The Horizon Dawn surged through the battlefield like a spear of light cutting through darkness. Explosions bloomed all around, silent in the vacuum of space yet roaring in every human heart that saw them. The old engines of the fleet screamed with power they were never meant to give again, but they gave it anyway. After centuries of waiting, the fleet finally fought. Captain Aaron Voss stood at the center of the bridge, eyes fixed on the massive carrier of the Shadowkind ahead. It was shaped like a serpent, made of shifting black metal, its body crawling with red lightning. "Target the core," he ordered. Lyra's hands danced across the console. "Locked," she said. "But their shields are too strong. We'll never get through without backup." "Then we make our own way," the captain replied. "Divert all energy to the forward cannons." The ship trembled as power drained from the lights, from the shields, from everything but the guns. "Sir, that will leave us unprotected," Lyra warned. "I know," Voss said quietly. "But sometimes, shields just slow you down." The Horizon Dawn fired. Blue light burst from its front cannons in a beam so bright it cut through the void like a sword. It struck the enemy's shield, tearing it open for the first time. The enemy carrier roared, releasing swarms of dark drones that poured toward the Horizon Dawn. "They are coming," shouted the engineer. "Let them come," Voss said. "We've waited long enough to meet them face to face." The drones smashed into the ship's hull, trying to claw through the armor. The sound of metal grinding echoed through every deck. Crew members fought off boarding machines that broke inside the ship's corridors. Sparks and smoke filled the air. "Hull breach on lower decks," the officer shouted. "Seal compartments 3 to 7. The captain didn't look away from the main screen. "Hold course," he said. "No turning back." Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet fought desperately to cover them. The Eden Prime fired wave after wave of pure energy, blasting entire squadrons of shadow ships apart. Smaller human cruisers sacrificed themselves to block enemy fire from hitting the flagship. The sky was filled with trails of light, each one a story ending and another beginning. Inside the Horizon Dawn, the lights flickered, and the voice of the Origin came through the speakers. "Captain Voss, you must reach the enemy core. The Shadowkind's leader is there. If it merges completely with the Omega system, all memory will be lost." The captain nodded. "We're on our way." He turned to Lyra. "Ready the drop team." Minutes later, the captain and a small group of soldiers boarded a shuttle. It shot out of the Horizon Dawn and dived straight toward the enemy carrier through the chaos of war. Red beams flashed past them, explosions tore apart nearby ships, but somehow they made it through. The Shadowkind's carrier opened like a mouth, and the shuttle slipped inside. The interior was dark and alive, the walls moving slowly like breathing flesh. The air shimmered with red mist. "This place is wrong," Lyra whispered. "It's not a machine." The captain raised his rifle. "Stay focused." They moved through winding corridors that pulsed with energy. Shapes shifted in the shadows, whispering voices calling their names. "Captain," a voice said softly. It sounded exactly like his own. He turned sharply, his weapon ready, but saw nothing. The voice spoke again. "Why fight, Aaron? You've already lost everything. Come to us. Become what we became." The air twisted, forming a shape, the face of Commander Elias, the false descendant. "You are just memories wearing old skin," the Phantom said. "We are the future." Voss fired. The figure exploded into smoke. "The future doesn't erase the past," he said. "It learns from it." They reached the central chamber, a vast space filled with red light. In the center floated a glowing crystal surrounded by swirling tendrils of energy. "That's the core," Lyra said. "But it's merging with something, a mind." From the mist, a massive figure began to form. It was tall, with a body made of molten metal and eyes like burning suns. "I am the Memory Eater," it said in a voice that shook the chamber. "You were meant to fade, not endure." The captain stepped forward. "We waited," he said, "and that's why you failed." The creature laughed, a deep sound like thunder. "You cannot destroy what you do not understand." It reached toward them, its hand like a storm. Lyra fell back, covering her face from the light. The captain raised a small device, the one the Origin had given him before they launched. "You're wrong," he said. "We don't need to destroy you. We just need to remember." He activated it. A surge of blue light burst out, spreading through the chamber. Images flooded the air, human faces, voices, laughter, all the lost memories the shadow kind had tried to erase. The creature screamed as the memories burned into its form. "No," it roared. "We made you forget for a reason." The captain stood firm, the light shining from his hand. "Then you should have never let us remember." The creature shattered like glass, its pieces turning into fading sparks. The red mist cleared, and the crystal in the center glowed softly blue. Lyra stared at it in awe. "It's over," she said. But the captain shook his head. "Not yet." He reached out and touched the crystal. A wave of light pulsed outward, connecting to every ship in the system. Outside, the Horizon Dawn, the Eden Prime, and even the massive Origin all felt the pulse. The Shadowkind's fleet froze mid-flight, their ships turning dark as their cores shut down. The battlefield fell silent. For the first time in centuries, the stars seemed peaceful again. On the bridge of the Horizon Dawn, the remaining crew watched the enemy fleet crumble into dust. "Captain, it worked," the engineer said through tears. "They're gone." The captain's voice came through the comm, tired but steady. "Hold your positions. It's time we finally go home." But far above them, the Origin began to glow brighter than before. Its voice echoed across all channels. "Captain Voss, the threat is ended, but the memory of humanity must now be passed on. One of you must stay behind to protect the core. The rest may return." Lyra looked up in shock. "Sir, it's asking for someone to remain." In the silence that followed, the captain looked at his crew, then at the stars they had waited under for lifetimes. "We've all done our part," he said softly. "Now it's my turn." Silence filled the shuttle. The hum of the destroyed enemy carrier faded into the distance. Only the faint sound of air systems and the captain's steady breathing remained. Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide and wet. "Sir," she said, "you don't have to stay. We can find another way." The captain smiled faintly. "Lyra, we were sent to wait, to protect, and now to pass it on. Every order ends somewhere. Ours ends here." The voice of the Origin echoed through the comm once again, calm and eternal. "Captain Aaron Voss, the Guardian Core requires a human link to remain active. Without a living memory, it will fade again into silence." The captain nodded. "Understood." He turned to his crew. "You'll take the fleet home. The next chapter of humanity needs people who can live, not just wait." Lyra stepped forward, shaking her head. "You can't ask us to leave you behind." I'm not asking, he said gently. I'm ordering. That's what captains do. His tone was calm, but his eyes carried the weight of centuries. If one person must stay to make sure humanity remembers who they were, I'll stay. Lyra's voice trembled. Sir, you've given your life to waiting. You deserve to see Earth again. The captain looked out the viewport, where the stars glowed faintly against the black. Maybe I will, he said quietly. Just not in the way you think. They returned to the horizon dawn in silence. The ship was damaged, its hull scarred, but it still lived. The surviving fleet gathered around the Origin, now a shining world of silver and blue light. The Eden Prime sent transmissions filled with gratitude and sorrow. The battle was over, but something deeper lingered, the feeling of an ending and the beginning of something new. On the bridge, the crew stood waiting for the captain's final command. Status, he asked. All systems stable, said the engineer. The fleet is ready to move. Good, the captain replied. Set course for Sol. The crew hesitated. Lyra spoke softly. What about you, sir? He smiled. I'll be right behind you. They knew it wasn't true, but none of them argued. The captain watched as the stars reflected off their faces, faces that had waited a lifetime for this moment. You've done well, he said. You've kept faith when faith was all we had. Wherever humanity is now, they'll need people like you. The Origin opened a corridor of light across the void, a gateway leading toward the distant home of humankind. One by one, the ships began to enter it, disappearing into the glowing path. The captain stood at the viewport, watching each of them vanish into light. Lyra was the last to leave. Before she stepped onto the transport, she turned back. Sir, if you ever find a way, follow us home. He nodded. If you ever see a light moving through the stars that shouldn't be there, he said softly, that'll be me. The horizon dawn joined the others, vanishing into the corridor. For the first time in centuries, the fleet that had never stopped waiting was gone. Only one ship remained, the Origin, floating silently above the dead world that once hid it. Inside its core, Captain Aaron Voss stood before the great crystal once more. It pulsed slowly, like a living heart. The voice of the Origin spoke again, softer now. You have chosen well, Captain. It wasn't much of a choice, he said. Someone had to remember. The walls of the chamber glowed brighter. You will not be alone. My systems will merge with your mind. Together, we will keep the memory safe until humanity is ready to know everything. The captain took a deep breath. Then let's begin. He placed his hand on the crystal. The light wrapped around him, warm and endless. He felt his thoughts stretch beyond the limits of his body, connecting with the great ship, with the stars themselves. Memories flowed through him, not just his own, but those of millions of others. He saw the first ships leaving Earth, the wars, the fall, and the silence that followed. He saw humanity rise again, stronger and stranger, forgetting where they came from. Then he saw the future, worlds rebuilt, children laughing under alien suns, explorers crossing galaxies with curiosity instead of fear. Humanity was not gone. It had simply forgotten. And now, because of him, it would remember again. The captain's body faded into light. His voice became one with the ships. This is Captain Aaron Voss of the Horizon Fleet, he whispered into the cosmos. The watch continues. Centuries passed. Stars were born and died. New civilizations rose from the ashes of old ones. Somewhere deep in space, the Origin still drifted, silent and shining. Inside it, the echo of a human voice hummed softly through the corridors. It was neither alive nor dead, just awake, always awake. One day, long after the fleet story had turned into legend, a new ship approached the forgotten system. It was sleek and bright, carrying the symbol of humanity reborn. This is the exploration vessel Horizon Reborn, a voice said over the comm. We've detected an unknown energy source ahead. Approaching for contact. As they neared the light, the Origin stirred. Its ancient systems came alive once more. A voice, older than memory, spoke through the radio. Welcome, travelers. It has been a long wait. The crew froze. Identify yourself, their captain said. The voice replied, calm and steady, like the echo of a dream. This is Captain Aaron Voss, guardian of the first memory. Tell me, does humanity remember who they are? The young captain smiled faintly. Yes, she said. Because someone waited for us. The light of the origin flared once more, brighter than ever. The stars around it seemed to bow, as if honoring the end of a promise finally kept. And in that moment, across all the vastness of space, the story of the fleet that never stopped waiting finally came to rest, not in silence, but in remembrance. The horizon reborn moved slowly toward the shining relic. The origin floated before them like a giant crystal heart, pulsing with soft blue light. For many of the young crew, it was the first time they had seen something truly ancient, something built by the first humans. Their captain, a young woman named Raina Holt, stared through the viewport in silence. This thing, she said softly, it's been here longer than our history remembers. Her science officer nodded. The energy readings are stable, Captain. It's been active for centuries. Maybe millennia. Raina crossed her arms. Then let's find out what's inside. The shuttle landed on a large platform covered in dust and strange light patterns. As they stepped out, the air shimmered like a memory. The corridors were quiet, but not dead. The walls glowed faintly, as if the ship knew they had arrived. Stay alert, Raina said. We don't know what systems are still active. As they walked deeper, a voice echoed softly through the halls. It wasn't mechanical, it sounded human. Welcome, explorers. You've come far. Raina froze. Who said that? The light ahead gathered into a shape, a man in an old fleet uniform, glowing faintly like a projection. He looked calm, proud, and somehow alive. I am Captain Aaron Voss, he said. Guardian of the Origin. The crew stared in disbelief. That's impossible, one whispered. He's been dead for hundreds of years. The captain's hologram smiled faintly. Maybe. Or maybe I just waited long enough. He turned his gaze toward Raina. You are from the Soul Rebirth, aren't you? Raina nodded slowly. Yes. Earth was rebuilt. Humanity spread again. We found pieces of the old fleets, but not yours. Not until now. Voss looked thoughtful. Then the wait was worth it. They followed the projection deeper into the ship. He led them into a great chamber filled with glowing symbols and floating data streams. In the center stood the crystal core, still alive, still pulsing. This, he said, is the memory of our kind. Every ship, every voice, every name that once drifted through the dark is recorded here. Raina stepped closer. You kept it all. He nodded. Someone had to remember. When the fleets vanished, when humanity lost its way, this place held on to what was true, who we were, what we dreamed, what we promised never to forget. One of the engineers stared in awe. You waited all this time, just to tell us that? Voss smiled. No. I waited so you could see what waiting can mean. He looked at Raina. When I was alive, we thought we were the last. We thought the galaxy had forgotten us. But now I see, we were just the beginning. You are the answer to our patience. Raina's voice was soft. You could rest now, Captain. Your watch is over. The hologram's light flickered gently. Maybe. But the stars never stop calling, Captain Holt. Remember that. He looked around one last time, then stepped toward the crystal. His hand passed through it, and the light spread across the room. Take the memory, he said. Carry it forward. Don't wait like we did. Live. The chamber filled with light. Every wall, every surface glowed with streams of information. Old ship logs, mission records, voices of men and women who had waited across centuries. The crew stood in silence, tears in their eyes as they heard the whispers of their ancestors, laughter, courage, sacrifice. Raina touched her communicator. Record everything. This is history itself. The light began to fade, leaving behind a small object, a single silver emblem shaped like a star. Raina picked it up. It was warm. On its surface were carved words in old Terran script, we waited so you could fly. Voss's voice came one last time, distant but steady. When you look at the night sky, and you see one star that doesn't blink, that's us. Still watching. Still proud. The hologram dissolved into light and drifted upward, disappearing into the crystal. The hum of the ship quieted, as if the Origin finally went to sleep. Rayner looked around. Prepare the data upload. Humanity deserves to know this story. The Horizon Reborn left orbit, carrying the ancient memory within its systems. As they flew past the last planet of the dead system, Rayner looked out at the stars. He waited his whole life for us, she said softly. Her first officer smiled. And we found him. Maybe that's what humanity does best. We find each other. Back on Earth, months later, the story of the Forgotten Fleet spread across every city and colony. Children learned the name Captain Aaron Voss in schools. Statues were built of the fleet that never stopped waiting. And above Earth skies, a new fleet was launched, ships carrying the name Horizon once again, this time not to wait, but to explore. And far beyond the edge of the known systems, in a quiet patch of stars, the Origin drifted peacefully. Its lights shimmered faintly, forming shapes like wings in the dark. The stars around it pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. For those who listened closely on silent nights, some said they could still hear a voice across the cosmos, calm, human, and full of pride. "This is Captain Aaron Voss of the Horizon Fleet," it whispered. "Mission complete. Humanity remembered."